few television series have managed to carve out a place in cultural memory, quite like Little House on the Prairie. Airing from the mid-1970s into the early 1980s, it arrived at a time when American network television was shifting between the moral simplicity of earlier family programming and the increasingly complex storytelling that would define later decades. Based loosely on the semi-autobiographical books by Laura Ingalls Wilder, the series transported viewers into the rugged landscapes of 19th-century frontier life where survival was uncertain. Community mattered deeply, and every day carried both hardship and quiet triumph. What made the show resonate so widely was not just its historical setting, but its emotional tone. It combined sentimentality with unflinching depictions of struggle, creating a balance that appealed across generations. Families gathered weekly not only for entertainment, but for stories that felt grounded in values, perseverance, empathy, and resilience. The Ingalls family became symbolic of a kind of idealized American spirit, even as the show frequently reminded viewers that idealism came with sacrifice. At its height, Little House on the Prairie was more than a hit series. It was a cultural fixture. It shaped conversations about family life, morality, and even national identity. While other shows leaned into satire or urban sophistication, this series embraced simplicity and emotional sincerity. That contrast is part of what made it stand out so strongly during the 1970s television landscape. Its legacy, however, would eventually take a dramatic turn that few viewers could have predicted. Walnut Grove and the illusion of simplicity, the fictional town of Walnut Grove, served as the emotional and narrative heart of Little House on the Prairie. Nestled in the imagination of viewers as a small, tight-knit Midwestern settlement, it represented both the promise and the hardship of frontier life. The town was more than a backdrop. It was a living, breathing community where every store, schoolhouse, and farmhouse carried emotional significance. Audiences came to recognize the rhythm of life in Walnut Grove, seasonal harvests, church gatherings, school lessons, and the quiet struggles of neighbors who often relied on each other for survival. The setting created a sense of continuity that made the series feel stable and familiar, even when individual episodes tackled difficult or emotionally charged topics. In many ways, Walnut Grove functioned as a moral universe, where actions had consequences and community values guided decisions. The illusion of simplicity, however, was part of what made the show so powerful. Beneath the picturesque landscapes and warm interiors lay stories of poverty, discrimination, illness, and loss. The town was a stage for exploring the contradictions of human life, how joy and suffering often coexist, and how communities endure despite adversity. For viewers, Walnut Grove became almost real. Letters from fans treated it as if it were an actual place, and the characters were often spoken about as though they were extended family members. This emotional investment would later make the destruction of the set and the fictional town feel like a personal loss for many long-time viewers. The Ingalls family and the emotional core of the story at the center of Little House on the Prairie was the Ingalls family, whose experiences anchored the series in emotional authenticity. Charles Ingalls, portrayed by Michael Landon, embodied the archetypal frontier father, hardworking, principled, and endlessly devoted to his family. Alongside him, Caroline Ingalls provided a steady emotional foundation, balancing strength with compassion as she navigated the demands of raising children in an unpredictable environment. Laura Ingalls, played by Melissa Gilbert, emerged as the narrative focal point for much of the series. Her character grew from a spirited child into a young woman shaped by the realities of frontier life. Through her perspective, audiences experienced both the innocence of youth and the gradual understanding of adult responsibility. Her evolution gave the show continuity and emotional depth, allowing viewers to grow alongside her. The family dynamic was central to the series' appeal. Each member contributed to a broader narrative about resilience and moral development. The challenges they faced, whether financial hardship, illness, or social conflict, were portrayed not as isolated events but as part of a larger journey of endurance. What made the Ingalls family particularly compelling was their relatability despite the historical setting. Their struggles echoed modern concerns about family unity, economic insecurity, and ethical decision-making. This timeless quality helped the show transcend its period setting, making it resonate with audiences far beyond its original broadcast years. Michael Landon's creative control and vision. Michael Landon was not only the star of Little House on the Prairie, but also its driving creative force. As writer, director, and executive producer for much of the series, he exerted a level of control that shaped nearly every aspect of the show's tone and direction. His influence ensured a consistent emotional style, blending sentimentality with moral storytelling. Landon's vision was deeply personal. He sought to create television that reflected values of kindness, family unity, and perseverance. This approach often set the series apart from more cynical or comedic contemporaries. His storytelling favored emotional resolution, frequently ending episodes with lessons about empathy or moral clarity. However, such extensive control also led to tensions behind the scenes. Creative disagreements arose between Landon and other production figures, particularly as the series evolved over time. Some collaborators felt constrained by his dominant role, while others appreciated the coherence his leadership provided. Despite these tensions, Landon's presence was integral to the show's identity. His on-screen portrayal of Charles Ingalls reinforced the emotional weight of the father figure, while his off-screen decisions shaped the narrative direction of entire seasons. This dual role made him both the heart and the architect of the series. His influence would later play a significant role in how the show concluded, particularly in the decision to end the series with a dramatic and symbolic act that reflected both narrative closure and personal, creative intent. Stories that pushed boundaries in family television, although often remembered for its warmth and nostalgia. Little House on the Prairie was remarkably bold in its storytelling. The series frequently addressed issues that were uncommon in family-oriented television of its time, including racism, addiction, disability, poverty, and domestic violence. These themes were woven into the frontier, setting in ways that made them accessible yet emotionally impactful. Episodes dealing with prejudice, for example, did not shy away from uncomfortable truths about discrimination in both historical and contemporary contexts. Other storylines explored the consequences of illness or injury in a time when medical care was limited, highlighting the fragility of life on the frontier. One of the most talked about episodes involved particularly intense subject matter that shocked audiences with its emotional realism. Rather than relying on sanitized narratives, the show often confronted suffering directly, forcing viewers to engage with difficult moral questions. This willingness to address serious topics elevated the series beyond simple family entertainment. It became a platform for exploring ethical complexity within a historical framework. While the tone remained accessible to a wide audience, the content often carried emotional weight that lingered long after episodes ended. By blending moral storytelling with social commentary, the series helped redefine what family television could be. It demonstrated that audiences were capable of engaging with challenging material, even within the structure of a weekly drama designed for general viewing. Friction, relationships, and life behind the scenes behind the carefully constructed world of Walnut Grove, the production of Little House on the Prairie was not without its complications. The intensity of Michael Landon's creative control occasionally created friction among cast and crew members. While many respected his vision, others experienced tensions related to decision-making authority, character direction, and compensation. Reports from those involved in the production suggest that disagreements were not uncommon, particularly as the series progressed into later seasons. Long-running television productions often develop complex interpersonal dynamics, and Little House was no exception. Relationships evolved over time, shaped by both professional pressures and personal circumstances. Some cast members formed close bonds that extended beyond the set, while others experienced strain as the demands of production increased. The emotional nature of the material itself sometimes contributed to heightened sensitivity among performers, who were frequently asked to portray intense and vulnerable storylines. Additionally, Landon's personal life became a point of discussion within Hollywood circles. His relationships and decisions outside of the show influenced perceptions of him within the industry and among colleagues. These factors added layers of complexity to the already demanding environment of a long-running series. Despite these challenges, the production maintained a level of cohesion that allowed the series to continue successfully for nearly a decade. The professional and personal dynamics behind the scenes became part of the broader mythology surrounding the show, reflecting the reality that even the most wholesome television often involved human complexity. Declining ratings and the end of an era by the early 1980s, Little House on the Prairie began to experience a natural decline in viewership. After nearly a decade on the air, audience tastes were shifting, and television programming was evolving toward new genres and storytelling styles. What had once been a cultural centerpiece gradually became one of many competing series in an increasingly crowded media landscape. Networks began to reassess the show's long-term viability. While it remained respected and still retained a loyal fan base, its ratings no longer matched its earlier peaks. This shift was not unusual for a series of its longevity, but it did signal that its original run was approaching its conclusion. The decision to end the series was not driven by scandal or abrupt cancellation, but by the natural life cycle of television programming. The creative team recognized that the story of Walnut Grove had largely been told, and continuing indefinitely risked diminishing its impact. Michael Landon, however, approached this transition with a strong sense of narrative purpose. Rather than allowing the series to fade gradually, he sought to give it a definitive and emotionally resonant conclusion. This decision would ultimately lead to one of the most dramatic finales in television history. The final farewell and the destruction of Walnut Grove, the television movie, The Last Farewell, marked the end of Little House on the Prairie, delivering a conclusion that remains one of the most unforgettable moments in television history. In the story, Walnut Grove faces a powerful land developer intent on acquiring the town's property for profit. Rather than surrender their homes and community, the residents make a radical choice. They destroy their own town. The emotional climax involves the demolition of key structures, including the schoolhouse, church, and general store. These buildings, which had served as iconic symbols throughout the series, are blown up in a dramatic act of collective defiance. The decision to end the town's existence through self-destruction created a powerful visual metaphor for loss, autonomy, and resistance. The production itself employed large-scale practical effects, with actual sets being demolished to achieve realism. This choice added a tangible weight to the sequence, making it feel less like fiction and more like a final, irreversible farewell. For many viewers, the scene was shocking. A show long associated with warmth and moral simplicity concluded with destruction and emotional intensity. Yet for others, it represented a fitting end, an acknowledgement that even the most cherished places must eventually come to an end. The final moments of Walnut Grove became iconic, symbolizing both closure and transformation within television storytelling. Myth, memory, and the reality of the explosion over time, the destruction of Walnut Grove became surrounded by myth and misunderstanding. Some accounts suggested that the sequence was more extreme or controversial than it actually was, while others claimed it had been suppressed or poorly received by networks. In reality, the finale aired as intended and continued to be broadcast in reruns, though typically not in heavy rotation compared to lighter episodes. One of the most persistent myths was that the destruction was entirely improvised or uniquely unprecedented in television production. While the scale of the sequence was certainly ambitious, it was carefully planned and executed as part of the scripted narrative. The use of practical effects and set demolition was a deliberate creative decision designed to enhance emotional impact. Another misconception involved the idea that the episode was banned or removed from syndication, which is not accurate. Instead, programming decisions often favored more episodic, standalone stories for daytime reruns, which led to the finale being less frequently shown. Despite these clarifications, the emotional memory of the event has remained strong. For many viewers, the destruction of Walnut Grove symbolizes the end of a television era, regardless of the factual nuances surrounding its production. The blending of memory and myth has only added to the show's legacy, demonstrating how powerful storytelling can evolve beyond its original context into cultural legend. Audience reaction and cultural aftershock. The response to the finale of Little House on the Prairie was deeply emotional and varied. Many viewers who had grown up with the series felt a genuine sense of loss as Walnut Grove was destroyed. For them, the town had become more than a fictional setting. It represented stability, familiarity, and emotional comfort over many years. Some praised the finale for its symbolism and bravery, arguing that it reflected the reality of change and impermanence. Others felt that the tone of destruction conflicted with the series' traditionally gentle and uplifting identity. This division of opinion contributed to the episode's lasting notoriety. Television critics also engaged with the finale's significance, noting that it challenged expectations of how long running family dramas should conclude. Instead of a quiet resolution, the series ended with spectacle and emotional intensity, forcing audiences to confront the end directly rather than easing into it. Over time, the finale gained a reputation as one of the most memorable conclusions in television history. Its imagery continued to be referenced in discussions about how shows should end and whether dramatic closure enhances or undermines narrative legacy. The cultural aftershock of the finale ensured that Little House on the Prairie remained part of public conversation long after its original broadcast run ended. Legacy, reflection, and the meaning of an ending looking back, Little House on the Prairie remains a significant milestone in television history, not only for its storytelling, but also for its emotional ambition. It demonstrated that family-oriented programming could engage with serious social issues while maintaining broad audience appeal. Its willingness to depict hardship alongside hope set it apart from many of its contemporaries. The decision to end the series with the destruction of Walnut Grove continues to provoke discussion. Some view it as excessive, while others interpret it as a powerful metaphor for change, loss, and the passage of time. In either reading, it reflects a willingness to confront endings directly rather than avoid them. The series also left behind a complex legacy, shaped by both its on-screen narratives and off-screen realities. The creative leadership of Michael Landon, the performances of its cast, and the emotional investment of its audience all contributed to its lasting impact. Decades later, the show remains widely remembered and revisited, not simply as nostalgia, but as a study in how television can balance intimacy with scope and sentiment with seriousness. Its final moments ensure that it is not easily forgotten, continuing to resonate with viewers who recognize in its story something universal about endings themselves.